This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So I think in our previous class we started off with Tableau, right? So the first thing that we discussed was that we understood what is the role of Tableau here in the business intelligence area. So we understand that in today's market of business intelligence, there are a lot of tools available. Tableau is one such tool that is available here, right? In fact, to share a small news to all of you, Salesforce has actually acquired Tableau last week. They've not yet acquired. I think it's still in talks, but they're likely to acquire it, and probably at a valuation of somewhere around $15 billion. So if you see the share price of Tableau last week, right? It on a single day it went up by literally 47%, and for Salesforce the same day it came down by 1 or 2%. People thought Salesforce is not probably having much of an organic growth here. So this is basically news around Tableau. So Salesforce is actually speaking, in fact, another BI tool. Okay, so they have a lot of such tools. I think even a couple of ERP tools and other things are available in their names. Okay, so they went on to acquire Tableau at $15 billion, and the share price of Tableau and all has skyrocketed last month. I mean, last week I would say it just happened 3-4. Sorry guys, it just happened 3-4 days back, I guess. All of this thing. So now talking about Tableau, we understand that it's a very important tool, right? Especially with this new acquisition, when Salesforce is a very big company has taken up, I think it's going to be a pretty big push. It's going to see a lot of push. Already we see that a lot of companies are very actively using Tableau. They are kind of chucking out other tools like Cognos, etc. So Tableau is kind of taking a very important place in the analytics market here. And a very common requirement is, any person knows a data scientist, somebody who knows how to crunch numbers using algorithms, is also required to know Tableau. One BI tool is always something that you need to understand. It's going to be helpful in many areas. So since last week we've been talking about Tableau, so let me just quickly go ahead and import the data set with which we were working on. So we were working on the sample store data, right? So we go to this, connections. We use our connection. This is one of the connection we have. We're going to go back and drag and drop the tables. We can do the, joins that we want, left join, right join, inner, outer, any joins you want, you can probably do it. Suppose that we went inside the sheet. We have spoken about what do you mean by dimensions, what do you mean by measures. So what happens when you drag and drop them? By default, measures are getting aggregated, while if you don't want them to get aggregated, you can go back and flip up the sheet. We have spoken about the marks card. In the marks card, we know what is the color property doing, what is the size property doing, what is this text and tooltip doing, and we've spoken about the show me button also available here, right? So to create quick visualizations like, let's say, a pie chart or a bar chart or a simple line chart, we do understand how they're going to work, right? Just drag and drop the fields that we want, go back and just click them. That's it, the work is done. He's going to create the visualization for us. No coding, nothing is required here to create any visuals, unlike, let's say, certain programming languages or any other BI tools. There's very minimal amount of coding that is required. It's just a tool that you understand. So Tableau as a tool was proposed, if I'm not wrong, in the year of 2004 or 6, guys. Okay, it was presented in a conference, if I'm not wrong. The initial founders, the 3 people. So one of a very big investor, I forgot the name of this guy. In fact, he said, this is exactly the tool what we are looking at. We wanted, in the sense, they wanted to ditch coding. They didn't want to write codes, etc., to create visualizations. They were just expecting or waiting for a tool where you just simply drag and drop. Even very simple people, executives who are not really hands-on to the coding, even they can start creating the visualizations that they want. So it was given a grand welcome, is what I would say. Tableau, once it was actually introduced in the year of 2004 or 6, I don't exactly remember, right? So you see a lot of years that's gone through, right? It's a pretty big journey, a massive journey. They have gone through a lot of critics, right? They would have gone through a lot of feedbacks. That's how it has matured a lot. So today you do have Power BI, etc., but it's not taking a very important place in the market. Why? Because Tableau has been in the market since several years, right? It's like the difference between your Microsoft Excel versus Google Sheets. I mean, both are Excel products, right? But why is Microsoft Excel, which is a licensed product, still very popular over Google Sheets, which is more like a free product available online? The answer is this. So Microsoft Excel has evolved a lot. There are so many extra features available, which is lagging in your Google Sheets, etc. So the clear winner is Microsoft Excel, right? In the same fashion, even here, Tableau has been a clear winner. That's exactly the reason why we are kind of deep diving here in Tableau, right? And yes, trying to kind of keep the things in place. So in the last week, we've discussed about connecting the data sources, dragging and dropping, doing joins, the data source window, dimensions, measures. When do they get aggregated? When do they not? Can I change the aggregation? Can I create different visuals? What is the marks card? These are the different things that we have discussed in our last week, right? So before I proceed, there's one question from Rakesh. I'll just quickly answer it, then we can jump. So just wanted to know if we can drag and drop two Excel files and can we merge them together? The answer is yes. So you can just go back here. You can have another connection. So let me go to the same sample store. Now the sheet 2, I'll just remove it. I'll drag and drop the sheet 2 coming from the second connection. So it is totally okay. You can of course do this, kind of a joining operation using multiple connections also, which means I can bring in a SQL server, I can bring in a Teradata probably, I can bring in an Excel sheet probably. Then I can merge all the data coming from the 3 different sources. So the answer to your question is yes, of course you can have different kinds of connections here, and of course yes, you can merge them together using any join that you want here. Okay. So you just have to go add a connection, then just drag and drop. That's it. The work is done. So now what we're going to do is, guys, the next few topics that we're going to talk about are filters. I think we did start off with filters, right? But let's go over again. So we're going to start with filters, okay? Then we'll speak about something called calculated fields. Then we'll speak about something called parameters, okay? And then we'll go on to, a couple of more examples. We'll talk about data blending, etc. So this is going to be the agenda for today's class. We're going to start with something called filters. Then we'll be going into something called calculated fields. Then we'll go into something called parameters. Then we can, kind of discuss something called data blending. So let's jump into it, guys. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to quickly create a small visualization, which is region-wise sum of sales. So what do we have here? We have region-wise sum of sales, correct? So some people might have a requirement. The requirement is that they want to filter out the data that you see in the visualization. I don't want to see all the data that is probably getting uploaded. I want to filter out the data and render a visualization only using what? Only using a limited amount of data. That is, I want you to probably just go back and filter the data. So whenever it comes to a filtering operation, guys, there are like 6 to 7 different filters that we need to understand. Number 1 is something called as a dimension filter. Number 2 is something called as a measure filter. Number 3 is something called a data source filter. Number 4 is something called as an extract filter. Number 5 is something called as a quick filter. Number 6 is something called a context filter. Over to the 7th one, something called action filters. So these are the different filters available here in Tableau. One is dimension, number 2 is measure, number 3 is data source, number 4 is extract, number 5 is quick, number 6 is context, and over to number 7 we have something called action. So these are the 7 different filters available here in Tableau. So let's start our discussion with something called dimension filter. So any filtering operation that you're going to do with a dimension becomes what is called as a dimension filter, right? So we have a dimension called region. We have a continuous measure, something called sum of sales. If I'm going to use this guy to filter out our visualization, it's going to be called as a dimension filter. That is, drag and drop region into the filters box here. The moment we release it, he opens a small box for us. It has 4 options on the top. What are the 4 options? First one is general, second is wildcard, the third is condition, the fourth is top. So what are the 4 guys? It's general, there's something called wildcard, there's something called condition, then there is something called top. 4 different options is what we have. So let's start with general. So when you go to the general tab, it has 3 general options, okay? So the first option is something called selecting from list, which means he's going to render the list of values available in this region dimension, which are basically central, east, south, and west. You just have to go back and choose the one he wants to display. So, whichever is checked here will be displayed. Whichever is not checked will not be displayed. Or on the opposite, when you switch on exclude, whichever is getting checked will not be displayed. The other 2 people will be displayed, right? So this is a general kind of an option, guys, where you have something called select from list. So he's going to give you all the list of different levels available in this dimension. You just have to go back and include the levels that you want or exclude the levels that you don't want. Or the second option could be something called custom value list, where you can go back and type it. So probably tomorrow, if you know that there is going to be a region something called south, but unfortunately if it's not available in the list, then you can go back and type it. You can say, hey, south is also a value which might not be available in the data today, but tomorrow it will be there. So let me make my Tableau dashboard tomorrow ready. So we are saying, let's go back and type it south, and then we are hitting the plus button. Now he adds it. Let's go back and apply. You can see that south is there. Or over to the last case where you say, hey, just use all the values here. That's all. So the first one is select from list, where he's going to show the list of values from which you can probably go back and choose the values that you want. Second one will be something called custom value list. You go back and type it out. Or the third one is something called use all, which means you just use every value that's available within this field here. So this is something called general. So the second one is something called wildcard, guys. What do you mean by wildcard? You might have seen in other programming languages, right? So you're saying, hey, if the name starts like this, if the name ends like this, if it exactly matches like this, let's do it, right? So you'll go back and say, hey, if it contains, let's say, AS, right? So it's basically in east. So if it's containing an AS, you can show it for me. Or if it's probably containing a TH, you can display it here. Or if the name starts with SO, you can show it to me. Or if it's probably ending with the TH, you can show it to me, right? Or if it exactly matches a particular value, then you can show it to me. So these are all what wildcard matches. So you're saying, hey, if the values are having certain strings like this, or if it's starting with a string like this, or ending with a string like this, or perfectly is matching with a string like this, then you can do it, right? So this is what is called as a wildcard operation. So please understand that, guys, that they are all kind of going to get activated a single shot. So now you can go back and see. So ends with, now you will see south and north. Okay. TH, what happened to north? North is not there. Okay, north is not there, is it? Okay, then ST. So let's go back and his ST. You can see west and east right now. So the wildcard will basically try to match with the names. Is the name containing something like this? Is the name starting like this, ending like this, or is it perfectly matching like this? So this is basically general, where you get to choose the 3 options, or this is something called wildcard, where you can go back and type out the name that you're probably looking at. If the pattern is matching something like this, he's going to display it for us. So the third one is something called condition, guys. As the name says, this is a filtering operation which will work based on the condition. That is, you're saying, hey, I want you to probably filter out only the regions where the sum of sales is greater than certain value probably. So you can just go back and say, hey, only if it's probably greater than $5 million, you can probably display it to me. Now can you see none of these guys are above 5 million. Probably let's make it as 4. you can see this also is not there. Okay, probably they are not such a big number. Okay, that's a problem. So it's okay, it's 500k. Nothing of these guys are probably in millions. No, 4.9 million, right? So 4 1 2 3 1 2 3. This should have worked. Yeah, now you can see. So we're keeping 4 million as a number. So he's saying, hey, I'll just display all the regions for which this condition is getting satisfied. What is the condition? The sum of sales should be above this value. Or you can go back and say sum of sales should be less than this value or greater than equal to, right? Or less than equal to, or within a particular range, right? So this is exactly what you can do here, guys. It's based on a condition. Now, suppose in case you feel that this condition that you want cannot be achieved here, now what you can do is you can go back and type it. So you can say, hey, if the sum of sales is above, let's say, 10,000 and the sum of sales is probably less than 20,000, then you can display it for me. Right? So you can do something like this also. So it's A and D. Then 1 else 0 E and D. Okay, it's a boolean. Right? So you can do something like this also. So you can go back and write a condition here, right? So one is, you go to this condition tab and you try to use this drop down itself to come up with a condition, or you can go back and write your condition also. So we'll speak more about this, how to write this kind of conditions, if else codes, etc. We'll come back on this one. So the first one was basically general, where you go back to choose, certain general options available, or a wildcard, which is basically trying to do a pattern matching, or here something called condition, where you say, hey, this is the condition I wanted to follow. Display all the values which are passing this condition here. Else do not display them is what we are saying. Or over to the last case, here we will say, see here, it's something called top. Here we are saying, I want you to display probably the top two members. And how do you find this top two? How do you rank them? Using sum of sales probably. So now what are we doing? We are saying, hey, I want you to display the region, that is the top regions, top how many, top two, based on the sum of sales right now. Now can you see? These are the two people who are the top two sum of sales right now. Or then you can go back and say, how about the top two profits right now? So now you'll say, okay, these are the two people who are giving you the top profits. Or how about average profits? Or how about, let's say, the count of profits? So in the second case, this one, the condition on the top is a little different, guys. In condition, he's saying, I'll display all the values who satisfying this condition. Here he's saying, hey, I'll rank it based on the condition that you're specifying, and only the top n number of members will be displayed to you. Right? So this kind of a filtering operation that we're doing using a dimension is exactly what is called as a dimension filter. So the general option where you can select from list, custom value list, use all, or a wildcard option where you're saying, hey, if the string is matching like this, show it to me. Or a condition where you're saying, if the condition is satisfied, display it to me. Or in the last case, you're saying, hey, the top two people, top three people, or the top n people based on certain, aggregation here. So these are the different options that is available whenever you do a dimension filtering here. General, wildcard, condition, and over to something called a stop. So now let me all ask you a question, guys. I want you all to create a quick visualization, something like this. Basically, I want to see the sum of sales for all the customers, okay? Then I want to see only the top 10 customers based on sum of sales. So the question goes like this, okay? I want to see all the customers sum of sales first, but then I want you to later on, filter out and display only the top 10 people based on the sum of sales. How do we do this? Yeah. So I want to see the top 10 customers based on sum of sales. So let's go step by step. So customer name, good. Sum of sales here. Right. So what we can see is each and every customer, what is the sum of sales that they've given us, correct? Good. Just for our convenience, we can also, kind of sort it out. Next is what? Should I drag and drop sales here and then try to filter out the top people, or what should I drag and drop here? So you want me to drag and drop sales? Okay. No, it's not sales. We need to drag and drop customer name here, correct? So we need to drag and drop customer name, go to the top option, and here we have to select, hey, by field. So you want me to display the top people or the bottom people? It's the top people, top how many people? Yes, I want to know the top 10 customers based on what? Sum of sales here, right? Now you just go back and hit apply. You can see that the filter has worked and the visualization is showing only the top 10 people for us, correct? So it's not the sales. So if you drag and drop the sales, that is the next thing that we need to speak about, something called as a measure filter, guys. It's a little different, okay? It'll not help you probably, do a top and all. It'll just filter out based on a range here. So now you can see there's a first value, something called all sales. So all sales is a little different from the other sales options that you see. Say for an example, I drag and drop sales, okay? This all sales, if you use it, it'll come without any aggregation. Can you see? It's the plain sales. That is, each and every sale value that you see can be filtered out using this option. Whereas if I drag and drop it, the same sales, the options that you see at the bottom, these are all aggregated versions. Now he's saying it is sum of sales. He's saying average sales, medium sales. Let's do sum of sales. Let's hit apply, let's hit OK. Let's say show filter. I did right click and show filter, guys. You can see there's a UI on the right hand side. So what do you see? The most minimal sale, sum of sale for one of the customer has been $62. The highest sum of sales has been $86,552. So what you're doing is you're filtering out each and every sum of sale right now. That is, the entire bar will kind of be what? It'll kind of disappear. Can you see? It is each and every sum of sale. This is a sum of sale. This is a sum of sale. Every bar that you see here is basically a sum of sales. You're basically doing what? You're filtering out the total sum of sale here, guys. It's a lot different, right? Whereas on the other hand, when you drag and drop the same sales, you say all values, it'll be individual sales. It's without any aggregation. So now each and every bill value will kind of get changed. Now can you see? So the top customer is right now giving you only $61,600. Why? Because all those small sale numbers, you have removed it. Can you see? That is individual sales, guys. So you can understand more in this fashion. I'll remove the aggregate measures. Now you know it. Can you see? These are the different sales that each and every customer has done. Now, if you go back and remove based on plain sales, you're removing individual transactions for each and every customer here. Can you see? For each and every customer, you're removing the individual transactions. While if you have kept it as sum of sales, which I doubt if we will get it right now, but let's see. Yeah, you want because you have switched off the aggregate measures, right? Now, if you drag and drop sales, you can see sum of sales. You hit apply, you hit OK. We are not talking about individual sales right now. We are talking about the total sum of sales that is getting displayed here. So it's a lot different, guys. When we remove aggregate measures, it will become plain sales. It should become what? Plain sales right now. So every individual transactions is kind of getting cleared right now. Can you see? Every individual transactions are getting cleared here. So in a measure filter, please keep in mind that the measures can be filtered out in two fashions. One is you can do it at a what individual level. It is without any aggregations. Each and every sale value that you see here is kind of getting filtered out. Or the second fashion is when you have certain aggregations that is applied on top of it, and based on this aggregated value, you can go back and filter out the numbers that is getting displayed. So this is non-aggregated values, while this one is all aggregated values that you're removing. So it's a lot different here. Okay. So in the previous case, what did we do? We dragged and dropped customer name here, and we said, hey, the top 10 customers will have to be displayed by sum of sales, right? Right click and show filter, you can see, it's probably choosing everything. I don't know why, but here you can see the limit is based on top 10. So he'll show that it's the top 10 only for us, right? So similarly, if you're doing it for a measure, you can drag and drop it here. He'll tell you what is the option. So suppose in case you say sum of sales, hit apply, OK. Right click, you can say show filter, and you can filter out based upon this particular filter here. So this is the difference between using a dimension versus using a measure to do a filtering operation, guys. So the first case that we saw was basically a dimension filter, while the second case is something called as a measure filter. And a very important point to notice is you get a UI for all of these filters here. Now, say for an example, we say, hey, customer name. As of now, you can show everybody. You can do right click, show filter. You get a UI. You can pull it in your dashboard also. So what you get is you get the advantage of seeing a UI here. In the UI, you can go back and change the options. You can probably make it as a single value, which means I can enable my user to choose only a single value right now, which means only one customer will get displayed. Everybody else will get filtered out. Or it can be a single value drop down where I can go back and choose which customer I want to see, whose numbers I want to see. It can be a single value drop down, or it can be a single value slider. I can just slide over to each and every customer. Can you see? Right? So the first case is a single value list where I can choose each and every individual customers in a radio button format. While the second one is a single value drop down where we get to go back and choose one person using the drop down. Or the third case, a single value slider where we get to choose each and every option using the slider that we see here. So these are all single value list, single value drop down, single value slider options. Similarly, you can enable the user to choose multiple values in the form of a list here, right? Multiple value list or a multiple value drop down. So you get to choose a couple of customers only here. It's a multiple value drop down, or you get to see a multiple value custom list, which means you need to go back and type it. So say for an example, there's a customer called Aaron Bergman or something. So you get to go back and type and hit it, then he will get displayed here. And I don't know what the spelling of the person is. So anyways, so you can go back and type it out. So that's something called multiple value custom list, or let's say something called wildcard. Example, there's an Indian customer called Vivek. So the moment you hit enter, you can see Vivek Sundaresan, right? So you can see his name also. So these are the different options. We see a single value list, single value drop down, single value slider, multiple value list, multiple value drop down, multiple value custom list, or over to something called wildcard. So these are the different UI options that we would typically get whenever it comes to a filtering operation here. The same thing goes even for a measure. Drag and drop a measure, say that you want to probably filter out sum of sales. Say right click show filter, you have a couple of options. Okay, one is a range of values, both the starting and the ending point can be changed. This is called at least, which means only the starting point can be filtered out. The ending point is always fixed. Or the last case, at most, where the starting point is fixed and the ending point can only be changed. So this is range of values. Both the lower limit and upper limit is getting changed. This is at least, which means the lower limit alone can be changed. This is at most, where the upper limit alone can be changed. These are the three different options we have whenever it comes to filtering using a measure here. So this is a dimension filter, this is a measure filter, and these are the two different kinds of UIs that we would typically get, guys. Right? So say for an example, let me ask you all a quick question. I want you all to probably create a quick visual where we can see category wise, subcategory wise sum of sales, okay? And I want to go back and filter out a couple of subcategories. I don't want to use all the subcategories. I want to filter out a couple of people. So can you let me know by what methodology we can probably do this? What are the steps involved? Yes. Guys, you need not type your answer in a very verbose fashion. So I think you can keep it simple. So the question was basically category wise, subcategory wise, sum of sales, right? So category wise, subcategory wise, sum of sales goes here. So we get to see the individual bars here in a category wise, subcategory wise fashion. Now we just want to go back and filter out the subcategories. We don't want to display everything. So which means drag and drop subcategory into filters. Now you can go back and choose whichever you want. Probably you want to see only the accessories, appliances, and art. Just hit OK. You can see in all the three categories, how are these subcategories alone working? You get to see it here, right? So you just have to drag and drop them. You can create several other visualizations. You may want to convert as a pie chart like this. So for individual category, you get to understand how the subcategories are working. Probably you can create a stack bar chart like this, or a tree map, something like this, or a bubble chart like this. So you can keep playing with it. Whatever visual that you want, you can probably just go back and convert it by just using the show me button that you have seen here. Okay, great. So any questions still here, guys? Are the dimension filters and measure filters okay? Any questions? Any examples you want to probably try it? Anything you have in mind? Okay, perfect. So now what I'm going to do is, guys, I'm going to take a small detour, okay? So let's do something. Or let's not. Okay, I'll come back, okay? So I thought I'd speak about parameters quickly, but anyways, let it stay. We can come back to this place. So the first two things was basically our dimension filter and measure filter. So we understand that whenever we want to do a filtering operation using a dimension, it's called as a dimension filter. Whenever we want to do a filtering operation using a measure, it's called as a measure filter. So these two things should be ideally clear, correct? The third one is something called a data source filter, guys. Okay, a data source filter is a beautiful thing. So you can go to the data source window and you can apply your filters right at this area itself. So say for an example, let's go on the inside, guys. Let's drag and drop region sum of sales. So he's displaying all the three regions for us, right? Central, east, south, and west. probably you wanted to see only the central region numbers. You don't want to see east, south, and west. So you're saying, hey, this analysis, this workbook is only for the central region probably, right? So what are you doing? You're applying a filter here by saying, hey, it's only the central members who will have to be displayed. Correct? So you go back and say, hey, this central keep only, I want to see only the central. Only for the central, we are doing an analysis. So this is only in this worksheet, right? Which means I can go back to another worksheet and look at the same numbers. So I can see central, east, south, and west. Everything is displayed, right? But here, after applying the filter, it is local only to this guy. So only to this sheet, you have applied a filtering operation. So it's a filtering operation which is very local. You know, it's happening only for this sheet. It's happening in a local fashion. So now what we're going to do is, guys, we're going to apply a global filter here. That is, we are going to keep a data source filter itself here. That is, to the data source itself, you're doing certain filtering operations. So at the right top side, you can see there is something called filters. There's an option to add, right? Just say add. Here he's asking, what filter do you want me to add? Let's click add again. So based on region, you want to do it. So just scroll down, search for region. Region is here. Let's click it. What is region? It's a dimension. So the moment you click OK, he'll open a dimension filter box for us. Now you can go back and say central alone is what should be given to all the sheets available in my workbook. Let's hit OK. Let's hit OK. Go to sheet number 5. Yes, he's displaying central only. But go to see sheet number 6. He is also displaying central only. Because this is a filtering operation which was applied right at the data source. It has got applied where? It has got applied right at the data source. Right? So it's something that you're not probably applying it locally, but it's rather applying globally, which means every sheet that you see here who's going to use that particular data source is going to make use of that particular filter. I mean, he's going to see the effect of that particular filter. So any filtering operation that you do right at the data source itself, guys, that is what is called as a data source filter. The same thing happens even for a measure. I can choose a measure like profit, and then I can say hey, individual profit values only up to 5,000 I want to see. So you can just go back and say, oh, only up to 5,000 or a minimum of 0. That is, I don't want losses. So you'll hit OK. Now you can see that he's displaying only profit numbers between what? 0 to 5,000 something. Right? So the same data source, you can do it with a measure also. It will become a measure filter in the data source window. Right? So you can add what, guys? You can add dimension filters, then you can add measure filters here in the data source window. Right? So you can come back here and see once you've removed it, it is all gone. So this is something called as a data source filter. That is, it's a filtering operation done at the data source itself, which means every sheet is going to receive data post this data source filter. So whatever is the data that's coming out of this particular filter only will be used by every sheet available in the workbook that we see here. So that's something called data source filter. Okay. So I'm hoping it's a pretty simple topic. Everybody should have been able to follow, right? So data source filter, a dimension of measure filter that you're applying at the data source area itself is called as a data source filter. So the next one is something called as extract filter. So to talk about extract filter, let's take a small detour, guys. Let us understand more about connections in Tableau. Okay, very simple topic, shouldn't take up much time for us. Let's understand about something called connections in Tableau. So say for an example, let's create a quick Excel. Okay, so we'll go back and create a quick Excel. Similarly, I'll open a new workbook also. Okay, so what we'll do is, guys, we'll just quickly cook up a small data. So we'll say, hey, date, and this is the sale. So the date is, let's say, 13th of May, and this is 14th of May, and then over to 15th of May probably. Okay, the sale numbers are 1, 2, and 3. So let me just go back and save it. So let's go to desktop. We'll just save it by saying, sample underscore data. So we have a new workbook. I'm opening up this new workbook, guys. So let's go here. Now we are going to say, hey, more. Let's go to desktop. It's sample underscore data. So this is the guy. Let's choose it. So the moment you have chosen it, he's going to load this data for us. You can see it has got loaded. Do you see an option here on the right hand side, something called connection, where there are two types of connections for us? One is something called as a live connection. So what is he saying? The small IntelliSense at the bottom, it's saying what? Connect directly to your data. The speed of your data source will determine the performance. What is second one? Import your data into the Tableau's engine. So basically we are trying to extract the data, and with this extract is what we're going to work. So the first one, as the name says, guys, it's a live connection, which means any changes to the data will get reflected here. You'll be able to see it here. While the second one is more of an extract, it's a subset, which means any changes to the data anymore will not get reflected after the extract has happened. So I can just go back here. See you guys. We can just say, hey, for 16th of May, let's probably have a $4 of sale. So you can just go back here. What you can do is, let's go inside the sheet probably. Right click, you can say refresh. So you're basically refreshing your data source right now. So now drag and drop date here, drag and drop sale also here. We'll say exact date, we'll say discrete. Okay. It's a live connection, right? So what went wrong? Did I save it? Save. Okay. Right click. Now we'll say refresh. Now can you guys see? Why is it saying it's a null? Because data format was incorrect. Okay, let's go back. Let's right click and refresh. Now what do you guys see? 13, 14, 15, 16, right? Now let's go back and say, hey, it is 17th of May. I'll have a $5. So save it, go back here, go to the data source, right click, refresh. Now you can see 17th May. Now similarly, you can go back and say, hey, for 18th May, it is $6. Save it, right click, you can do a refresh here. Now you'll get the 18th May data also. Why? Because you've kept the connection to be live. So you can see that the data is getting kind of updated the moment you ask them to refresh it. So whenever you ask the data source to get refreshed, right, immediately you can see that the data is getting reflected because it's having a live connection. It can go back and fetch the data immediately. It's a live connection. Whereas if you've kept as an extract, guys, so now you can see, we are saying, take a subset, make an extract of the data. Now we will go and say, hey, for 19th May, for 20th May, for 21st May, let's assume 7, 8, 9. Let's save it. Let's go back to our sheet on the inside. Okay, so he's asking us to extract it. You can see dot hyper. You say yes, save it. So we want the extract to get saved. Let's go into the sheet. Right click. Let's say refresh. So you don't see any changes, right? After 19, so 20 and 21, okay, we are seeing it because the extract just now happened. Okay, so now what I'll do is we'll make 22nd May, 23rd of May, 24th of May. Okay, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so now let's go back and do a right click refresh. You can see that they are not getting updated, right? Right click refresh, it's not getting updated. Why? Because the extract has already been taken. So already the extract has been taken. If you had a live connection, it's a different story. After having a live connection, you can see the data is getting refreshed. Go back here, the data is once again back. But now once you're taking an extract, you're going on inside. Any changes to the data, probably let me just delete them. Let's save. Let's go back. Let's right click and refresh. It will not get updated because the data has already been extracted. It has come out as a Tableau extract right now. It's not yet a live connection here, right? Hence, what we're going to do is, guys, we'll just go back here and we just need to decide whether it should be a live connection or an extract. So if it's going to be a live, you can see the changes will get reflected. But if it were an extract, then he's taking a small extract of the data and he's storing it. What you can also do is, if you've taken an extract of the data, right, you can refresh extracts also. So right now, what do we have? We have an extract. You can go on the inside and you can refresh extracts also. Okay, so what is this one? Okay, so now let me delete it. Okay, now let's save. So right click and refresh, you don't see the changes. You need to refresh an extract itself, guys. That is, do a right click. You're saying use extract. Come to the extract option. There you have a refresh, which means he's going to go back and take up a new extract itself for him. Can you see? Now he's taking a new extract itself. Now you can see 19 here, 13 till 19. But probably go back and make it as 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Right click and refresh, it will not work unless you refresh the extract itself. Go to the extract option, ask the extract to get refreshed here. Now click yes, you can see it has become 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 here. So this is the point, guys. If you want to refresh a live connection, this is the option. But if you want to refresh an extract, here is the option. So here, refresh it using this option for the live connection. Refresh the extract using this option that we see here. Okay. So these are the two different types of connections you will meet. One is something called live. Number two is extract. Why do we have it so? Live is more like, as I told you, right? Well, even after hosting it, let's say for an example, you're going to push it into your Tableau server. The server can still hit your probable SQL server or even an Excel file available in a shared drive, or let's say text file available in a shared drive, anything. It can still go back and fetch on its own. So that is called as a live connection. So because it's a live connection, guys, it's going to be a little slow is what I would say. Okay, it's going to be a little slow. Whereas if you're keeping an extract, right, it's a different thing altogether, because Tableau is taking a compressed data. Okay, it's extracting it and it's kind of compressing it. It's going to be much more faster than a live connection. Okay, so live connection is like it needs to go back and hit the data source when and wherever required. It may not be as fast as how an extract would work, guys. Okay, the extract will be much more smaller in sizes. Typically, it'll be much more faster, but live connections are typically, troublesome. But if you want the data to get kind of updated in a real-time fashion, let's say more like for every 15-20 minutes, you can keep a live connection and ask them to extract it using certain, scheduler at the back end. So this is the two things, something called live connection and something called extract connection. Why are we talking about extract connection? Because while extracting also, you can apply filters. Can you see? Connection is extract. There's an option called edit. You can use this edit option and you can filter out here also. You can say, hey, the sale, if it's only less than $5, extract it. Even this is something that you can do. You can apply a filter right here. So now you can see, hit apply, hit OK. You can see only the people whose sale values is less than 5 should basically get extracted. Do we see more than that? I think we do see it. Why do we see it? Edit. Quarters, they all fall under the same quarter. Date, I will take it as range of dates itself. We'll say only up to, let's say, 16th or something. Hit OK and hit OK. Okay. So let's go on the inframe and see. Yeah, probably here it's displaying it, but when you go on the inside, it's probably in the right fashion. So you can see it's only up to 16th, right? So let's just go back here. Now we'll edit it. We'll ask him to remove it. We'll say, hey, sale values which are less than $5 only should be shown here. Let's hit OK. Now let's go on the inside here. I don't think any other values are above 5. Everything is below 5. This must be a bug of somewhat. Ideally, it should refresh it and show only the ones who are passing the test. Anyways, so this filtering operation that we are applying here, guys, while taking an extract of the data is what is called as an extract filter. So the dimension filters and measure filters are the base for everything. Now you use a dimension or a measure to create a data source filter or to create an extract filter. So at the data source itself, when you apply a filter, it's called data source filter. At the extract area itself, when you apply a filter, it's called as an extract filter. So these are the different kinds of filtering operations that you can do using Tableau. Dimension filter, measure filter, data source filter, and extract filter. 4 different types of filtering operations are available here, right? Yes. Now tell me, guys, any questions on all of these 4 different filters that we've seen? Is it okay? Do you understand what do you mean by a measure filter, a dimension filter, a data source filter, and an extract filter? Any questions here? And you also understand about the connections in Tableau, the live and the extract connections? Yes. Okay. So location of extracts, what are the maximum sizes? One location is basically it will sit in your system here. Or if you have pushed it to the Tableau server, it'll extract the data and the extract will be uploaded. So the location depends upon where you have it. If it's in your system, the location will be here. If you're pushing it to the server, in the server it'll get saved. So what is the maximum size? I don't really think that there are size exceptions. As much as your server is able to handle, you should be good enough. Sometimes I have personally worked on somewhere around 20 GBs also. I've had extracts worth 20 GBs also, but the performance has been quite good enough. But the servers are in fact very good enough. But talking about size restrictions, I don't really see the Tableau has kept any kind of restrictions here. As far as you see that your Tableau workbook is working optimally, any kind of sizes should be close enough. It should be good enough. I've read that some people have even tried with 100 GBs of data. So as far as your workbook is very simple, it's not getting too much of time to probably kind of render the visuals. If you need it in 5 seconds, get it in 5 seconds. Anything more than that, it's a problem. That is your restriction. Otherwise, within Tableau, I don't really think that there's any restrictions that these guys have imposed. Okay. Okay. So now let me ask you all a quick question, guys. Okay. So this is something that will always kind of okay, so let me ask you all a question. So you just go back and do it, but there's a small problem in the Tableau or within my data. So anyways, um, just give me 1 second, guys. Let's do something. Just give me 2 minutes, guys. I'll just be sort of back. Okay, so just give me 1 more minute, guys. I'll just be back. So it's okay. Okay. Yes. I think now we are good to go. I'm resuming my sharing. Okay, guys. So the question goes like this. Okay. So I had to take a minute because the data is something a problem. Okay. So the question goes like this, guys. Um, I want you all to please go back and find the top 10 customers within accessories subcategories. Okay. I want you all to go back and find the top 10 customers based on sum of sales within what the accessory subcategories. Top 10 customers based on sum of sales within accessory subcategories. I want you all to try it at the back end. I hope you all have the data. If not sure, just give me a minute. I can upload it quickly in the drive. So just open your Tableau, guys. Meanwhile, I'll just quickly upload the data for all of you. So I want you all to try this one. The top 10 customers based on sum of sales. Okay, I've dropped it into the drive without any folder. It's on the outside. Okay, it's on the outside, guys. It's not within any folder. Just fetch the data. If you don't have, suppose in case you don't have it, just do it. This is a very good exercise, guys. I want you all to do this. Okay, the top 10 customers based on sum of sales. Okay, and these top 10 customers should be within the accessory subcategories. So within the accessory subcategories, I want to know who are the top 10 customers right now. So I've just dropped the link also to the file, so you can download it. I hope everybody is trying. It's a very good exercise, guys. There's a reason why I've given this problem. Okay, it's actually going to lead us to another beautiful topic. So please do try this. So anybody who has done it, Yes, guys. What is the result? What do you see? How did you do it? Anybody who's completed? Surya, regarding the drive, I remember, right? So ask Shrikant sir. So he'll be the right person to help you out because I'm not supposed to give you the access. So it's right that it comes from there. So for any videos and other files, everything for the drive, please do reach out to him. So the link that I've given you will help you reach out to this Excel. Okay. Okay. So done. Okay. So the ones who've completed, can you guys try to fetch the 10 customer names you have? Or are you sure you have 10 customers? Okay, shall we do it? Or does somebody want a minute more? Okay. Okay, Divya. Okay, I follow. Okay. So the first thing to understand is we wanted to filter out in the accessory subcategory the top 10 customers, right? So first of all, let's do something. Let's drag and drop subcategory here, right? Let's drag and drop customer name also here. And we look at the sum of sales right now, okay? So what do we have? We have the subcategory here, then we have the customer names also here, right? And then we have the sum of sales with us, correct? What are we interested in? We are interested in accessory subcategory. Let's say keep only. So he has chosen only the accessory subcategory. How many customers do you see right now? There are 470 customers with us, correct? So what do we have? We have 470 customers who have purchased accessory subcategory related products. Now what are we going to do? We're going to go back and say, hey, can you please let me know who are the top 10 customers here? Which means when you sort it out, ideally he should give you these answers. What are the answers? These top 10 guys probably. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are the top 10 people he should tell us, correct? Can you all tell me how can I filter the top 10 people right now? How did you all do? What should I do right now next if I have to get the top 10 people? So what do? We drag and drop customer name into the filters, right? Exactly. So drag and drop customer name into the filter. You go to the top condition, top 10 by what? Sum of sales. You hit apply, you hit OK. Now let's go back and count how many people we have, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What has happened? So we said within the accessory subcategory, we wanted the top 10 customers, right? So even before applying this one, we see that within accessories, there are so many customers available, correct? So the top 10 people are these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But what has happened? When we drag and drop customer name here, we go back and say top 10 people by sum of sales and hit apply. I see only 8 people right now, isn't it? Even though there are hundreds of customers available, when we ask him to pull out the top 10 people, he's displaying only the top 8 people. Or we don't even know if they're even the top 8 people, correct? So go back and check here. These are the top 10 people, right? I don't think even the names are probably matching. Christopher is surely not in the top 10 by any chance. No chance Christopher is in the top 10 right now. But this name is available saying it's in the top 10. Or this guy called Brian. I rarely doubt if he's available in the top 10. Surely he's not available. But we see Brian as one of the top 10 members. What do you guys think is probably happening here? Any thoughts, guys? Do you think Tableau is going wrong somewhere? Is he misbehaving by any chance? Or did we make a mistake? Any thoughts, any solutions you guys have? How many of you got 10 customers perfectly? How many of you did not get 10 customers perfectly? You got less than 10. So what do you guys think is probably going wrong here, guys? Why do you think it's probably showing only 8 members and not 10 members, even though there are more than 10 or even 100 members available within the accessory subcategory? Why 8? Any thoughts? What do you guys think? Okay. So this is where we are coming into a very, very important point in Tableau, guys. This is a very important thing, okay? The reason why we've discussed this example is for a reason. This is a very, very important point. Please understand, guys, that in Tableau, okay, just give me a second. So in Tableau, the filters are all going to work independently. So what have we done? We have created a visualization which says, hey, this is a segment and these are the different customers. I want you to give me segment which is accessories and give me the customers who are top 10. So these are the two filters you have applied. Basically, the way you need to look at it is, this is your total data source in your Excel that is getting passed on to filter number 1. So this is filter number 1. What will he do? He'll pull out only the people who have bought under accessory subcategory. Only from these people, you are expecting the top 10 people to be pulled out, which is filter number 2. Finally, this goes into the visualization, correct? So this is what our conventional wisdom will do. He'll basically think, hey, I think this is what is probably happening. But the answer is no, that's not what is happening, guys. Tableau works a little differently. Filters in Tableau, okay, filters in Tableau, guys, work independently. How are filters in Tableau working? They are basically working independently, which means they're not going to get cascaded here. So here it's what? Here basically the filters are working in a series fashion, or they are probably getting kind of cascaded. So output of filter number 1 is passing to filter number 2. Output of filter number 2 is getting passed on to filter 3. Output of 3 is getting passed on to filter 4. They're sort of getting cascaded here, isn't it? It's more working in a series fashion. But actually, Tableau is not going to work like that. They're going to work parallelly. It is going to work pretty much in an independent fashion. which means, guys, if you have a data source, this data source will be shared with filter number 1. The data source will also get passed on to filter number 2 parallelly. So the data source, guys, will be given to filter number 1 as well as filter number 2. Both the people will receive it what? Parallelly right now. And he will give you a certain data output. He will give you a certain data output. Only the common records, or what do we mean? Basically doing an inner join, or only the matching records. Only the matching records coming from both the filters output will be used in the creation of your visualization here. So what's happening, guys? In the first case, where you're keeping the filters, right? You're probably expecting them to work in a series or a cascaded fashion, which means you're expecting output of filter 1 to be shared with filter 2, output of filter 2 with filter 3, output of filter 3 will go on to visualization. This is what you are expecting, right? But my answer is a little different. I'm saying it'll not work like that. It's going to work independently, which means filter 1, filter 2, filter 3, filter 4, any number of filters, the plain Tableau filters, they will receive data independently. They are going to work on it independently. The data that they are going to throw out will basically be what? Matched for common records. Using those common records, he's going to create the visualization for us. Which is otherwise, guys, let's go back here. I'll just kind of duplicate these members right now. In the first case, what will happen? This filter will work. In the second case, this filter alone is going to work. Now what he's going to do is he's going to go back and find what are the common records right now. Okay, so accessories, who are the customers who bought this accessories? You can see there are 470 customers. Who are the top 10 customers on total? You can see these are the top 10 people. Now these top 10 people, he will go back and find if the names are matching here or not. So what is he going to do? He's going to search if these 10 people are available here or not. So whatever be the common records, what are the common records? You can just do it quickly. So we'll probably just sort it based on customer names. Here also we'll sort it based on customer names. Okay. So, Christopher, Edward, Jonathan, Laura, Matt, Seth. So all these people should be available here, except for 2 people. We don't know who it is. Okay, so 2 of these guys may not be available here. 8 of these people are available here. I mean, 10 people are available here, out of which 8 are going to match with these records here, while 2 of the people will not match with these 2 records here. I mean, any of the 2 records here. So that is why when you bring both the 2 filters together, right, you see only 8 records available. Who are the people? I think it's Ben and probably another person who is Karen, Ken. Ben is here. So Ben, Brian, Christopher, Jonathan, Edward is not there, right? Karen, Ken is not there. So Edward and Ken, these 2 people are not available, guys. So these 2 folks are not available here. Shall we check it? So we'll drag and drop customer names here. We'll say wildcard. We'll hit apply. We'll hit OK. Right click, show filter. I mean, we'll say wildcard match. You wanted Ken, right? Ken Black is available, but we wanted somebody else. So this person is not there. Next was Jonathan. So Jonathan Doherty or somebody. So Jonathan is also there. Then, oh, Edward, is it? Somebody called Edward. Edward, are you there? Edward Becker is there, but we wanted Edward Hooks. So that person is not there. So these are the 2 people, guys. So here you may have what 470 customers, but here you have the 10 customers. You're just asking, are these 10 customers matching with these 470 customers? And only the people whose records are probably matching will get displayed here, because Tableau is going to work pretty much independently right now. So what's happening in Tableau, guys? In Tableau, the filters, they're all completely independent, which means they're going to work in a parallel fashion. So filter 1 and filter 2, or any number of filters that you drag and drop, they're going to work pretty much independently, and only the records which are probably matching from the data that is getting thrown out from the filters will be used in the creation of your visualization. But ideally, what did we want? We wanted it to be something like this. We wanted them to be kind of cascaded, right? So we want filter 1 to receive the data from data source. The output from filter 1 should go to filter 2. This is what we wanted. That is when we are coming to a new filter, guys. We have somebody called as context filter. What do we have? We have somebody called as a context filter. Just go back to this accessories, right click, and just say add to context, guys. That's all. So what are we doing right now? We are saying, hey, accessory subcategories, let's not keep it as a plain dimension filter. Let's make it as a context filter right now. So the moment you make it as context, now you'll be able to see 10 people. Can you see? You have 10 customers. And go back and check. They should be the top 10 customers that you originally wanted. Right? So these are the top 10 customers that you wanted. So here what is happening is, guys, the context filter will work as a global filter for the sheet here. He'll be the first line of guide. So what is going to happen is, the data source will be immediately shared with the context filter. The output of a context filter will be shared with all the regular filters parallelly. Right? If you have this guy to be a context filter, the output coming from a context filter will be shared with everybody in a parallel fashion, and all the rest of the filters will work in a parallel fashion. So the idea here, or the hint here, is to basically convert this as a context filter, guys. If you remove it from context, right, you see that it's going to work just another regular filter. So both these people will work parallelly. Whereas if you click this guy, ask them to add it to context, they will work in a series fashion. So filter 1 will work, the output of filter 1 will be passed on to filter 2, filter 3, filter 4 goes on. Right? So this is exactly another type of a filter, guys, something called as action filters. Sorry, context filters. So what are context filters? They are more like a global filter available for this particular sheet. Now let me give you all a quick use case. So let me tell you guys. So suppose in case you have a filter option, okay? I'm making A as context, B as also context, while C and D are regular filters, okay? Now tell me, what will be the data that my visualization will get? How do you think is going to be the flow of your Tableau here? Can you tell me? What do you think is probably going to be the flow of filtering operations right now? So A and B is a context while C and D is regular. Can you tell me how is going to be the flow of your data? How are they going to work? So if you answer this question, it means you have perfectly followed. Or the moment I give you an answer here, I think it should be completely clear. What is the difference between a regular filter versus a context filter? Yes, guys. What are your thoughts? How do you think is the data going to probably flow right now? Okay, Jishbu has an answer. Yatinder has an answer. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I tell you, I've got a beautiful answer from Yatinder. So what is going to happen is, guys, this is going to be your data source, right? Data source will be first passed to A because in context he is sitting at the top, right? So he'll be the first guy to receive it. Then B is context. He is the second guy, right? So he will also receive it. So A and B will work in a series fashion. So you can see from data source it goes to A, from A it goes to B. But if I've kept it as B and A, right, then the order would have changed. So data source would have fed it to B, then output coming from B would have gone to A. But since we don't have it like that, we have A and B. So first A, the output of A goes to B. Then it will branch out. This output will be shared with C as well as with D. So both the people are going to work independently because they are just another regular filter right now. So they will work, independently. They will produce some output. Now you are pulling out only the common records out of these people, and those common records will be used in the visualization creation here. So, he gave me a beautiful answer. Yatendra's answer was very nice. So A goes to B, B goes to C. Similarly, A goes to B, B goes to D. Between these two people, we are finding what is the common records. It's a beautiful answer, right? I think a couple of other people also gave me an answer the same type. So what's happening? So data source passes on to A passes it on to B. The output coming from B will be shared with C as well as D. Output coming from C and D, you're going to find what is a common records right now. Those common records are used in the creation of this visualization that we are seeing here, right? So this is going to be the flow when it comes to using context filters and regular filters that we see here, okay? So this is very important, guys. Okay, so whenever I ask people, what do you mean by context filter? They just tell me that, hey, internally Tableau is creating a small, temporary table and it's pulling out some data. I'll tell you, it's all something that people find on the internet. It's all wrong. So this is, the answer people will expect. You need to say that context filters work in series fashion, whereas regular filters work in a parallel fashion. That is the main point here, right? So any questions on this one, guys? Do you all follow what is the difference between a regular filter versus a context filter? Yes or no? Did you all try this example also quickly? Why don't you try it quickly? I'll just probably wait for another 2 minutes. Quickly, just give it a shot. So, keep it without context, keep it with context. You see what is happening. So do it in a stage by stage fashion. Start it from here. Let me remove everything. Let's clear out everything. First, drag and drop subcategory. Okay. Then drag and drop customer name. Then you can drag and drop sales here. Then keep only accessories. So this is only the accessories people. There are a lot of people available here. You can sort it by clicking this option. So you get to sort it. These are the top 10 people you wanted, right? So somebody called Helen, Peter, Sung, Erin, Karen, Sung again, Natalie, Rob, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to drag and drop customer name here. We'll just go back and say, hey, the top 10 people by sum of sales, hit OK. But now we'll just right click and say, hey, let's add it to context. Now you can see, sorry, add to context of accessories. Okay. Now you can see Helen, Peter, Sung, Erin, same Sung again, Natalie, Rob, Anna. So you've got all the names that you wanted. So why don't you guys try it? Give it a shot, guys. I'll wait for probably another 2 minutes. Then we'll probably, proceed with the other topics. Okay. So this is the role of a context filter, guys, versus a regular filter. So understand that context filters are going to work in a series fashion, whereas the regular filters are going to work in a parallel fashion, right? So this is the main difference. You should know when to keep them as context, right? So please don't keep it as regular filters. The data that you're getting, the numbers that you're getting may not be right. Please understand when to keep it as a context, okay? So this is the next filter that we have spoken about, something called as context filter. Over to the next filter, something called quick. Quick is something I think we did discuss, right? So say for an example, you have visualization here already available, right? So let's say something like region-wise sum of sales. You can just quickly choose them in the bars here, just hover over them. Now you can say keep only. So he'll keep only these two values, or you can just hover over them and say exclude, which means he'll exclude only those two people. They are called as keep only filters or exclude filters, or also given it a broad name, something called quick filters. So you'll understand better when you drag and drop this guy also. So now you can see these two people we'll choose and we'll say over keep only. So now you can see inclusion. So he's including only these two people. Or choose these two people, hover over them and say exclude. Now you're saying, hey, exclude only these two people. So it becomes an exclusion filter right now. So this is a class of filters, something called as quick filters, guys. There are two types of quick filters. You can include, you can exclude. It's also called as inclusions filter and something called exclusions filter. So this is the fifth type of filter that we have spoken about, or probably sixth in terms of the sequence, something called quick filter. We know what's dimension, we know what's measure, we know what's data, we know what's extract. What is a quick filter, and also to something called as context filter right now here, right? So any questions till here, guys? Are you all able to follow till here? The six filters that you've discussed till now: dimensions, measures, data source, extract, quick, and context. Any questions till here? Are you all convinced till here, the six filters? Do you know when to use them? All good? So this one, Vidya, is this what you're talking about? Subcategory, which one was subcategory? This one, the context filter? Okay, sure. So what we're doing is, we're dragging and dropping subcategory, we're dragging and dropping customer names, we are looking at the sum of sales. So you can see accessory subcategory, a lot of customers, appliances subcategory, a lot of customers. Similarly, you can just scroll, then you'll be able to see another subcategory, another customer. Okay. So you can see that there are different subcategories: accessories, lot of customers; appliances, lot of customers; art, lot of customers. So we are going to say that, hey, I want only the accessory subcategory. So let's go drag and drop them. We'll say only accessories. It lets it apply, lets it okay. There are a lot of customers here, right? I'll just hit the sort option here. Can you see there's a small option? We'll click it, it'll kind of get sorted. Okay, so let's go to the very top. Let's click it. You can see it's a descending order sort right now. So you can see, all the customers getting sorted right now, right? So they're basically getting sort of sorted. Now what we will do is, we will drag and drop customer name here, and we will say only the top 10 customers should be displayed. What is the problem? But we see only 8 customers here. Why? Because they've worked independently. That is, if customer name top 10 is working, these are the top 10. If subcategory accessories are working, these are the customers. So out of a list of 470 customers that you see here, and out of the list of the 10 people that you see here, only the matching customers will be displayed. These are the matching customers. Who are they? These are these people, which is 8 in number. But they're not the top 10 people, actually speaking. That's not right. So what you need to do is, you need to make them work in a series fashion. That is, you need to make it as context. Right click and say add as context. Now you'll see the top 10 customers in a right format. right? So these are the top 10 customers who you actually wanted. So this is the right set of data. These are the right 10 customers. If you have not kept it as context, basically he's pulling out the accessories people. He's pulling out the top 10 customers. He's finding where it is probably matching. Some of it may be matching. Some of it might be matching in the last area. They may not even be the right people. Only when you make it as add to context, they will become the right people because the filters will work in a series fashion right now. Okay, great. Otherwise, any questions, guys? Did you all follow? Is everybody else okay? Okay, cool. Got it, Rakesh? Perfect. So the next thing what we'll do is, guys, we'll quickly discuss the action filter. Then we can probably, go for a break. Action filters is a beautiful topic. Okay. So let me do something, guys. We will probably drag and drop region, and we look at the sum of sales. Let this be one visual. So I'll call it as R right now. Let's create another visual which is region wise, segment wise, profit. So let me call this guy as R spaces. Okay. These are the two sheets that we've created. One sheet will have a visualization on the region wise sum of sales. Another guy will have region wise, segment wise sum of sales. So these are the two sheets that we've created right now. Okay. What I'll do is, guys, I'll quickly create a dashboard. So you see the second option, right, which will help us create a dashboard. Let's click that. I'm going to go to the size option. We'll make it as automatic, which means as per your system's resolution, it's going to scale up automatically. What we will do is, guys, we'll drag and drop the first visualization. We'll drag and drop the second visualization also. So this is what the region-wise sum of sales. This is region-wise, segment-wise sum of sales. What I'm going to do is, guys, I'm going to go back and create something called dashboard actions, or otherwise something called as an action filter. What are we going to do? We're going to create something called as an action filter, or otherwise something called dashboard action. Let's go to the dashboard option that we have here. You can see here, right? Let's go to the actions. He is saying actions let you to create interactive relationships between the data dashboard objects or other workbook sheets and the web. It can do certain actions for you is exactly what he's saying. Let us add an action. What kind of an action do you want? You can do a filtering operation. You can do a highlighting operation. You can go to a URL. You can go to a sheet. You can change the set of values. I think these are all very new additions. Only the top three things are actually, old ones. These two things are pretty latest addition, probably since we're using 2019, right? These are two new additions that we're seeing right now. Previously, we used to have filter, highlight, and URL. Only three options. Now we have go to sheet. We have change set values. So let's talk about, filter. So let's use this filter case. So we are saying, I want you to filter data. That's the meaning. What is the name of the action that we are adding? I'll call it as, click and filter. So the name is something called click and filter. That's the name I'm giving. What is the source of the action? So he's asking, can you please let me know the source sheets? Sure. Let's click this drop down. We will say, hey, in dashboard 1, I have dragged and dropped region and region wise segment. I want only the region. Only on this area, I will have the source, which means if I click it right, I should be able to click only from here. Only here I should be able to see the click, not anywhere else. In other areas, you should not allow me. So this is the source. What is the destination? Where should the result of the data get filtered? I mean, the data getting filtered, right? Where should it happen? The destination, the target. That also you're saying, hey, in dashboard 1, but in the other sheet, that is region segment wise. So the source will be this guy, the destination will be here, which means anything that you click here, the filtering operation will happen here. When do you want me to do the action? Is it when you just hover over itself, or when you just select it, or after selecting, you will give me a menu option? I'm saying selected. Okay, where only when I select the bar, you need to do it for me. Forget about this one. I'll come back in a minute. Let's hit OK. Let's hit OK. So any click that I do here, guys, will not have any effect at all. Nothing will happen. No action filter will get triggered. But go here, since he is the source, now we are saying only central region should be displayed. I'm going to click only central. We are saying only central region should be displayed. The moment we click it, guys, please look at the right hand side. Only these three bars will get displayed. Let's click this. What do you see? Only these three bars have got displayed right now, because here you're saying, hey, the click is on central. The filter operation should also happen only for central. Let's unselect it, it'll come back. Now we'll say it's only east. So you can see only the east data, unselected. Now say south, say west also, say east also, say central also. So for every click that you're doing here, the filtering operation would basically happen. Right? So go to analysis, sorry, dashboard, go to actions. This is actions that we have created. So the action source is here, but the destination is here. When do you want me to work? You have to work when I select, or you can also work when I hover over it. Let's see here. The moment I hover over, it's working. Hover over here, it's working. Hover over. The moment we just hover itself, it's going to work. Or over to the last case, when you give me a menu, in that menu, I'll choose the option. So I'll click this guy. Now he'll give me the menu option. Only when I click it, it'll happen. Unselected. Click it, then it'll happen. So this is something called as a menu option. So there are three triggers, guys. One is when you're hovering, it'll get triggered. Number two is when you're clicking, it'll get triggered. Number three is when it's a select menu, it'll get triggered. So hover, select, and menu. These are the three triggers which will make your action to work. The other one that you see here is while you clear it, right? When you unselect, do you want me to leave the filter as it is? Or do you want me to show all the values that were available originally? Or do you want me to exclude those people? So suppose in case you say leave the filter, let's hit OK. I click this guy, right? So I'll click it and I'll make him work. So it has happened. Now when we unselect it, the filter will be as it is. It will not come back to normal. But if you go to these actions, and now when you say, hey, show all values, the moment you unselect it, right, it will go back and show all the values for you. Or over to the last case is what? Just exclude these people. So you're saying, hey, exclude these people and show me the rest of them. Right? So now you can see he's just excluding, I think it's exclude all values, isn't it? Yeah, exclude all values. So he's going to exclude all the values for you. So these are the three types of unselecting options that you will have. You know, post unselection, what should you do? Show all values or exclude these values, or only, you know, leave the filter as it is. So why is it called an action filter, guys? Because you can go inside the sheet. Can you see he's saying action inside the filter box? That's why it's called as an action filter. It's doing a filtering operation. It's applied using an action. That's why it's called as an action filter here, right? So go to dashboard, go to actions. Let's remove it. Next, let's call it as highlight. So, you know, this is going to be the source. This is where it's going to end based on select. Let's hit OK. Let's hit OK. Whatever we select will get highlighted right now. So this is called highlighting operations. Let's go to dashboard actions. Let's remove it. Let's add another type. Let's say go to URL. So anywhere I click, I want you to go to a particular URL, www.google.com. So let's say you keep a logo here, right? If somebody clicks the logo, it will take them to that particular website of theirs. So I click it, it'll open, you know, Google for us, right? So that's a different kind of an action that you see. And let's remove him. The other things are all go to a sheet. So here you're saying, hey, anything I choose here, you can go to this sheet, sheet number 10. So if you click here from the dashboard, it'll go to the sheet. So that's called go to the sheet. The other one basically was change the set value. So this is different sets. Let's not talk about it. Okay. So these are the different kinds of actions that we have, guys. Filtering, highlighting, go to URL, and go to sheet. Set values is different. Okay. Let's not really worry about it. We need not discuss about sets and groups and all. Okay. So this is the last filter that we need to speak about, something called action filters. So this is a very important topic, guys. Filtering here in Tableau: dimensions, measures, data source, extract, quick, context, action. Any questions till here, guys? Did you all follow all these topics? Any questions till here? Are we good till here? All the filtering operations, how to create action filters. Are we good? Okay, so Rakesh has a question. Is action filter available only for a dashboard? The answer is no. So if this is a sheet, you can go to worksheet and also create actions. So it's a different option. This is dashboard action. This is worksheet action. So here it will be worksheet to worksheet. Okay, so you can say, it needs to happen in R, this guy, and the result destination will be here. So you can create the worksheet to worksheet action also. This was a dashboard action, while this is a worksheet action. So it's not limited only to a dashboard, it's also available for a worksheet also. Okay, I think Srividya had the same question, right? So it's applied even for a worksheet. So you just have to go to worksheet, say actions, add action, filtering. So I can just go back and unselect, the ones that we don't want. There's so many that we've selected. So we can just go back and unselect it. Which one do you want? We are in sheet 7.2, right? 7.2, he's a guy. Where is the target? Target should be R probably. Let's say hover. Let's hit OK. Let's hit OK. So you click hover that guy. Okay, it's hover itself, is it? So let's go to dash. Select it, okay, hit okay. It's okay. So now click this guy, it'll take you to that sheet. Okay, let's go back here. Click this guy, it'll take you to that sheet. So this is a worksheet action that you have added. The previous one that we discussed was a dashboard action. Well, this is a worksheet action. Can you see in the worksheet now there is an action filter? Yeah. That's a good question, guys. So it's not available only for a dashboard, it's available even for a worksheet here. Okay, cool. Okay. So I think we can take a quick 13-minute break. Okay, so let's be back by 7:10 Indian time. Okay, let's take a quick 13 minutes break, guys. Post that, we'll go back and discuss about parameters. We'll talk more about dashboards. How can you quickly collate them as dashboards? Then calculated fields should be easy to crunch it in the next half an hour or 45 minutes. Okay, let's be back by 7:10, guys.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, so we don't have much time. We need to get started. Okay. So the next topic that we're going to discuss right now is something called calculated fields. Okay. So this is a beautiful topic, guys. So let me all quickly start. Let me ask you all a quick question, and let's start with that. Uh, I want to probably see every sale value and against that every profit value. So I want you all to basically create a scatter plot, okay, which says, hey, the sale value has been 10K, but the profit has been 2K. The sale value has been, let's say, 7,500 dollars, but the this one, the sale, sorry, profit is something $5,000 or something. So you get it right. For every transaction, I want to know what is the sale and what has been the suitable profit. So it's more like a scatter plot I want to create. Can you guys help me out and doing the same thing? So what should I be doing right now to create the scatter plot like that? So, okay, so my question was, I wanted to see every transaction's sale and profit value in the form of a scatter plot. Okay, every transaction sale and profit value should be taken up and you should create a scatter plot using that. So basically, drag and drop sales here and drag and drop profit here, correct? Right, so what are we doing? So there's some answers saying dual axis. No, it's not a dual axis, I'll tell you. So you're just dragging and dropping sales here and profit here. You get a scatter chart, right? But I'm getting a single dot. Can you all tell me what is the reason we're getting a single dot here? Exactly. Basically because it's an aggregate, right? Since it's an aggregate, he's giving you the total sales against the total profit. What do I have to do to remove this aggregation? We just have to go to analysis and remove this aggregate measures. Every sale value will be plotted against its profit value. So take up this particular transaction, it has a particular sale and it has a particular so I need to remove the action worksheet actions. Okay, so let's take up this particular point. It has a particular sale and it has a particular profit. It has a particular sale and profit for each and every transaction that you see here. It's having a particular sale and profit, right? Now tell me guys, give me a method to probably uh, give this scatter plot a color where any point who's having a sale value less than 5K should take up one color. Anybody who's having sale value above 5K should take up another color. What do you guys think is the methodology? Any sale value less than 5K will take up one color. Any sale value above 5K will take up a different color. How do you guys think this is probably achievable? Any thoughts? Good. Good answer. You can apply some condition in the color tab. Yes. But there's no options here. But what you said is perfectly right. I'll have to apply some conditions in the color tab. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to take up Divya's answer, guys. So what you need to do is you need to write this condition. You need to write it as a Tableau code and let the color tab know that, hey, this is the condition that you'll have to use. So what we're going to do is, guys, you can see here, we already have a lot of fields with us, isn't it? We have a lot of variables with us. We have product name, region, segment, ship date, etc. Then we have a lot of measures here. There are already so many different fields available with us. In spite of it, what we're going to do is, we are going to create a new field. So do a right click and say view data, guys. You can see These are the existing views. I mean, these are the existing fields available with us, right? Starting with category, city, country, customer name, goes up to profit ratio. But now what we're going to do is we are going to create a new field. It's a custom field that we're going to create, something called as calculated field. So click this arrow mark, just go to something called calculated field. We will say that, hey, it's a color condition. Okay. What is the condition? We are going to say if the individual sale values are less than equal to 5,000, then I want you to, create a value called string of 1, else keep it a value called string of 0, END. So what are we saying? We are saying, hey, if the sale value is less than 5,000, then you can keep it as string of 1, else you can keep it as string of 0. Let's hit apply, let's hit OK. When you go to the view data, right, you'll be able to see this new field, guys. It'll get created. Can you see color condition? It's getting created. What is it dependent on? It is dependent on the sale value, isn't it? So using the sale value is going to construct whether it is 1 or 0. So every data point here is going to have a mark whether they are 1 or 0. If you drag and drop it into label, you'll know. So some of these people will be 1s and some of these people will be 0. You can drop it into size. Some of these people, since they are 1, they'll have a bigger size. Some of these guys, since they are a 0, they'll have a smaller size. So the same thing, if I drag and drop it into color, the ones who are having 1 as a value will have one color. The people who are having 0 as a value will have a different color. So based on the value that is available at that particular data point, the data point can get colored. It can have different sizes. It can have different labels. It can have different shapes. Drag and drop it into shape, drag and drop it into label if you want, drag and drop it into size if you want. You can control everything here, everything in this particular scatter plot that we see here, right? So the answer is what, guys? We basically have to create something called as a calculated field here. So this is called calculated field. Say for an example, let me give you all a quick question. So if I'm going to drag and drop region and sum of sales, I want you all to give me a piece of code which will help me color only central with one color. Every other region should be of a different color. Only the central region should be having one particular color. Every other region should have a different color. Can you all tell me how to achieve this one? Central region should have one color. The rest of the people should have a different color. So we need to create a calculated field, right? I'll call it as color probably. What is the piece of code that I have to write here? So we need to say, hey, if region is equal to central, then you can call it as, condition satisfied. Else you can call it as not satisfied. Ends with the END keyword, END. Let's hit apply, let's hit OK. Drag and drop this color here, now you can see. So the central region will alone have one color, the rest of the people would basically have a different color. So the answer to these questions are what, guys? Basically, you need to go back and create a new variable itself, a new field itself, something called as calculated field here, right? Now, suppose in case somebody is asking you a question. So you're using this color condition here, I understand, but you have kept a static value, right? Something like 5,000. It's a very static value. Do you think that we can probably change it dynamically based on a user input? If this is a question somebody is asking, and if they want us to do it, this is achievable using something called as a parameter, guys. So what is a parameter? A parameter is a mere UI where people can choose the values that they want, or they can pass the values that they want. So we are going to create a parameter by the same option. click this triangle symbol, go to the parameter. I will call it as, let's say, something like threshold. What is the data type? It's a floating input. Let's hit OK. We'll do a right click. We say show parameter control. He gives you the UI here, correct? So we can go back and make it as probably like 100. We can go back and make it like 500. You can make it like, let's say, 400. So the threshold is something that you can pass as an input here, right? But it's not getting passed on to the visualization. Hence, what will you do? Now you'll go to the color condition. You'll ask him to edit. Now you'll say, hey, instead of 5,000 as a threshold, the input that we are passing in this threshold parameter should be used. So we'll say, hey, don't keep the 5,000 which is a static number. It's going to be pretty dynamic. There will be some numbers that this parameter will pass on. Use that particular number and then you can change it. So if the sale is less than this particular threshold that we are passing, then call it as 1, else call it as 0. Hit apply, hit OK. Go back and make the threshold to be 500. You can change, it's going to change dynamically. 800, you can see it's changing. 1000, you can see it's changing. 2500, it will change. So for every kind of input that you're passing, this guy is going to change right now. So a calculated field is going to create the variable, guys, but to make the calculated field to work very dynamically based on the inputs, for that reason, you need something called as a parameter here. So the parameter has a UI. In the UI, you pass on the input. That input is getting captured by the calculated field. So you need to connect them. Parameters cannot work independently. It needs to be connected to a calculated field. That calculated field needs to be connected to the visualization in some fashion, right? Similarly, if you go back here, in this case, we'll create a parameter. We'll say, hey, the region that people will choose, this is going to be the name that you will give. What is the input? It's going to be a string, right? The data type is going to be a string, or you can keep it as number also, anything you want. We'll call it a string. Now we can, probably just hit OK. Right click, show parameter control. Let's go to the condition. We'll say edit. Now you just have to say, instead of central, whatever be the input that my parameter is passing, that is what you need to use. Can you see? So if the region in that variable is equal to the region that people are choosing in the parameter, then say condition satisfied, color it. Else say condition not satisfied, give it a different color. So now we'll go back and say, hey, it's a central region. So central is getting colored. We can say east region. So east will get colored. We can say south region. So south will get colored. Or the same field can be dragged and dropped into your filter also. Now go back and say, hey, I want only the east. So only the east is getting displayed. You can go back and say west. Only the west is going to get displayed. You can use it as a filter also, guys. You just have to drag and drop it into filter. Say that whoever is satisfying the condition needs to be displayed. Rest of the people don't display it. Keep the threshold to be 500 now. Can you see? Keep the threshold to be 8,000 now. Right? Keep the threshold to be 20,000 now. So based on the inputs, even the filter, even the visualization can get filtered out. It's not just about controlling all of these aesthetics, but it's also going to be used in your filtering operations here. So you need a calculated field, guys. Basically, it's a variable that you're creating manually, right? It's something that you are creating here in Tableau. So that's why you can see before all of this field, right? You can see an equal to. If it's an equal to, it means you have created. It's a calculated field that you have come up with. This calculated field, you're writing a formula at the back end, and you can of course make this calculated field to work dynamically based on the parameter that you're passing here. Right? So based on the parameter that you pass here, this guy is going to keep changing right now. So let me give you all a quick question. Okay. So let's take up the sales and profit problem itself. So this is a sales and profit problem. Okay. I'm going to remove the aggregate measures. So my question is, guys, tell me, I want to fix two thresholds, okay, T1 and T2. Please listen carefully. There are two thresholds I want to keep, T1 and T2. From 0 to T1, one color, T1 to T2, another color, T2 and above a different color. So there are three colors I want you all to create. 0 to T1 is one color, T1 to T2 is another color, T2 and above the third color. Can you all tell me how to achieve this, guys? Any thoughts how this is probably possible? And of course, the threshold should keep changing. So you basically will have to keep two thresholds, T1 and T2. 0 to T1 it's a one color, T1 to T2 is another color, T2 and above it's a third color. So this is exactly what we need to achieve. That's the problem statement. Can you all let me know how to do this? And what goes into the calculated field if you're going to create one? Can you write the formula? Okay. So I got a couple of answers. The first thing is we need to go back and create two parameters, okay? Because we're going to keep two thresholds. So I'll just say duplicate. So there are two thresholds. So right click show parameter control, right click show parameter control. So there are two thresholds that we've created. Next is open the color condition. Nothing great, guys, just a small change. We're going to say if the sale value is less than my first threshold, then you can call it as 1. Else if the sale value is less than threshold 2, then you can call it as second. If it is not less than both the things, then you can call it as 3 END. So any sale value which is less than the first threshold that you've chosen, which is 0 to 20,000, it'll be 1. Any sale value which is above this threshold but lesser than this particular threshold will be called as 2. And anybody who's above both the thresholds, right, they will be called as 3. Let's hit apply, let's hit OK. We're going to go back here and make it as 500 for this guy and 5,000 for this guy right now. Drag and drop the color condition here. Now you can see that everybody is getting colored based on that. So 0 to 2000 right now will have one color. 2000 to 7000 will probably right now have a different color. 7000 above is having a different color right now. Right? So this is very important, guys. Filters, calculated fields, parameters. If you know this, it means you've understood 80% of Tableau. So filters are generally what? They are fields, okay, the variables. It could have been a calculated field or it could have been a regular field that you might have imported in your data set. You're going to use them for filtering operations. So you drag and drop it into the filters, right? You're going to use it for filtering operations. Even he can serve as a UI. It's going to give you single values, multiple values, but all the values that he is displaying is available within the field. It's only within the field. Whatever is available within the field will be displayed. But calculated field is a new variable that you're creating, and threshold is a new UI that you're creating. Parameters will be UIs that you're creating. The difference is this parameters can take up any value. It's not restricted like filters. Parameters can take up any value, any custom value they can take as an input. And based on that input, they can go back and work with a calculated field on controlling the aesthetics or filtering operations and goes on. So there's a lot of difference between the three things, guys. People literally get confused, okay? Filter is different. Calculated field is different. A parameter is different. So let's talk about calculated field. So we have regular dimensions and measures that's coming out of a data set itself, but we are calculating new fields. We are coming up with new fields based on certain codes or something. That is called a calculated field. A calculated field can be used for filtering operation, can be used for coloring operation, sizing, label, shape, any operations, right? For creating visualizations, anything. You can use those calculated fields for literally anything. But what is a parameter? A parameter is just a general UI that you can present to the user where you can present any values to him. He can choose any values or he can type any values that may or may not be useful for you, but you are leaving complete freedom to the user to type anything or to probably select anything. You can show custom values and all in a parameter, which is probably not possible when you do a filter, right? So say for an example, guys, if somebody is saying, hey, to the user, you need to produce a message like this. First option will be less than 5,000. Second option will be less than 20,000 or 10,000. So based on whichever option he is doing, your visual should get filtered out. So what I will do is drag and drop sales, drag and drop profit. We'll go to aggregate measures, remove it. So we can go to sales, drag and drop this guy. We can hit apply, we can hit OK, right click show filter. People can use it. They can use fixing any thresholds, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, everything. But you're not going to give your user all the options. You're going to give only two options to the user. He may choose 5,000, he may use 10,000. That is not possible with the filter. For that, you need a calculated field and a parameter. So go to parameter, say thresholds. Okay. Now we are saying, it's an integer float, doesn't matter. So let's go to this list option here. So the integer value that will be passed on to the calculated field is 1. The calculated field is 2, but will be displayed as, 5,000. Below 5,000 is the message you will display to the user. Below 10,000 is the message you will display to the user now. Let's hit OK. Right click, show parameter control. The messages are 5,000 and 10,000. When somebody is choosing 5,000, the parameter will pass value 1. If they're choosing 10,000, the parameter will pass value 2. What can you do? You can create a calculated field by saying filtering operation. Probably this is a calculated field we'll create. We'll say, if sale value, okay, this is wrong. So it can't be 1 and 0. It has to be numbers 5,000 and 10,000 here. Okay. Yeah, it should be 5,000 and 10,000 here. Okay. So we'll go back and create a calculated field. We'll call it as filtering op. We'll say if the sales is less than what the threshold is passing, then keep it as 1, else keep it as 0, end. Let's hit apply. Let's hit OK. Drag and drop this filtering op field into this filters box. Let's say 1, hit OK. So if you're choosing 10,000, he'll filter out and he'll display only the people who are less than 10,000. But if you choose 5,000, he'll display only the people who are less than 5,000. Can you see? This is less than 10,000. Is even changing? Filtering operations, go to edit. If sales is less than what my threshold is saying, then keep it as 1, L0, ENT. Correct. So does it mean there are no values below 10,000? So value here is 5,000, value here is 10,000. Okay.
The name is thresholds in the formula.
Thank you. Okay, so let's hit apply. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So now it should be good. So when you're choosing 10,000, you can see he's doing the filtering operation less than 10,000. But if you keep it as 5,000, he's doing the filtering operation only for people below 5,000. So you get the difference, right? This is a custom UI that you're presenting it to people. So what did we do? We said list and we said, hey, if this is what is displayed and this is what people will choose, but depending upon what people are choosing, this is the value that you need to pass at the backend. This value is getting utilized by a calculated field. The calculated field can be utilized in any fashion. You want to do a color, you want to do a filter, you want to do a shape, you can do anything here. So this is what is called as a parameter, guys. Parameter cannot work independently. It needs to go through a calculated field. So calculated field can be used in any operation. So this is the difference between a filter, a parameter, and a calculated field. Three very, very important entities here in Tableau, right? So we know what do you mean by filters. You've spoken about all the different filters. We know what's a calculated field, which means you can create a calculated field, and that field also can be used for filtering operation. And finally over to something called parameters, which is just a mere UI that you can present it to people, right? Any questions on this one, guys? Did you all follow the difference between the three people? Filters, calculated fields, and parameters? Any questions here? Is it clear? Following till here? So right click on threshold parameter. This is the right click. Show parameter control will give you the UI on the right hand side. Cut, copy, edit, duplicate, rename, hide, delete. This is more create options. You can create calculated field from here, parameter from here. Right, describe will tell you what are the values on the inside, etc. So this is what you get for right clicks. Okay. If you want me to edit it and show it to you, you can see it. So this is the edit. This is the options you have chosen. Okay. Great. Any more questions, guys, still here?
We can do directly by dragging the sales column into color tab, and we can apply the conditions there, no? Like for smaller conditions, we can apply it without
No,
creating the calculated field.
no, we can't. We can't. So when you drag and drop sales directly into color, it will be a continuous axis. So the colors right now here will be on a continuous axis. So you don't get those options. So you can probably keep it a step. So the range between 1 till 4913 will be divided as 5 different ranges. Hit apply, hit OK, you get the 5 different colors. So it's
By
basically
using
going to be
advanced option there in the color option, we can apply.
oh, this one you're saying center 5000, but still it doesn't solve our purpose, right? So people chose 5000, it will filter up to 5000. When they're choosing 10,000, it will filter up to 10,000 or color it.
Yeah,
Not
not for all the
every
conditions, but for some conditions we can use this, I guess.
so for
Not
one
by
condition,
without creating a calculated field, we can apply directly.
correct. So still you need a calculated field. So for one thing, it's pretty easy. So you don't even need a parameter here. We could have directly created a calculate field, or you could have done an ad hoc here. So this is called as an ad hoc field, if I'm not wrong. Here also you can write it directly. So it's like just double click here and you can start writing. If sales is less than 5,000, then 1 else 0 ENT. Then you can drag and drop this guy onto colors. So you can do it this fashion also, but dragging and dropping sales over there will not do the work. It will not help us. But as you said, for one condition is okay, but for many other condition, it's not going to work. That's not the right.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So the next thing I want to quickly do is, guys, let's talk about dashboards here. A couple of things. The other things are all more like additionals, but this is essential. Let's quickly talk about dashboards. So the moment you create a dashboard, guys, you can first go back and fix the size you want, okay? Based upon which, kind of a display are you probably looking at. You can go back and choose different displays here. Say for an example, you can say it's a generic desktop, it's a laptop, it's probably a web page, it's probably a story, a PowerPoint. The way you want him to keep the dimensions, you can do it. Otherwise, you can keep it as automatic, which means based on the resolution, the size, etc., he's going to automatically scale down or scale up. So this is an option, something called automatic. Okay. So what we can do is, guys, you just have to drag and drop all of these sheets here. That's all. When you want to combine all the sheets in the form of a dashboard, right? You just have to drag and drop them. So let's say this is the second guy. Drag and drop him. This one, if he has to go at the top, drag and drop him there. Now probably another sheet. You want him to go somewhere here, drag and drop it here. You want somebody else, this guy, you want him to go here, drag and drop it. So just by dragging and dropping all of these people, you can create your dashboard. So all the sheets will be collated together in the form of a dashboard here. But also what you can do is to kind of, what I would say is to keep an order here, right? To keep it in a very orderly fashion, I would recommend you guys to use something called as containers. So these two options are something called as containers, okay? So the meaning is, guys, so it's more like a placeholder. Okay, so you drag and drop these guys. There are two containers that we have kept here. They are mere placeholders. So you can use any one of the containers, you can drag and drop them. So one is, he's saying horizontal container, which means all the visualizations I will hold will be in a horizontal fashion. The other one is a vertical container, which means all the visualizations will be in a vertical fashion. But at least when you drag and drop them, still it doesn't differentiate. Only when you start dropping them, he will kind of, fix himself to either a horizontal fashion or a vertical fashion. So say for an example, let's drag and drop this sheet inside this container. Can you see it's getting blue highlighted, blue color line. If I release it, that worksheet is going inside that container. Drag and drop another person inside that particular container. So before you drag and drop it, right, till now, it is having the flexibility to become horizontal and vertical. He can become either one of those. So I can keep it here, release it, it will become a horizontal container, or I can keep it at the bottom, it will become a vertical container. I have both the choices right now. So we will once again drop this guy here. We'll make it as a horizontal container. Now the third sheet onwards, you will have only horizontal option. Can you see? I'm getting this option only for horizontal. I don't get a vertical fashion. Can you see? The blue line is not there. So now check, it's only horizontal options with a blue line, which means within the container, they can now be only horizontal. All the sheets can be stacked only in a horizontal fashion. You won't get a vertical option. This is outside the container. While this is inside the container, blue line outside, they're all going to be in a horizontal fashion right now. Every visualization that you drag and drop will be horizontal. Just go to more options, say select layout container. You can see that these visuals are all available within this container. Just say distribute evenly, so all the three people will be equally spaced right now. Now over to the bottom, we'll drag and drop this guy. Now I'll drag somebody else. He has a capability of becoming horizontal as well as vertical. The moment I convert him as vertical, any other sheet we're going to drag and drop, I'll always get only vertical options. We won't get horizontal options. This is outside both the containers, right? So you'll get only vertical options. So drag and drop any person you want, but only vertically. Once again, select layout container, ask him to distribute evenly. Now you can squeeze the top people like this. Okay, so you can squeeze the top people like this, or give them a little bit more space. This guy, they are also in the form of a container. You can keep them at the top if you want, right? Something like this, or you can remove it if you don't want. Say select layout container and remove them. Okay, next is you can keep a title at the top. So this is a text, you can keep it at the very top here. Okay, so we will call it as dashboard and center it here. Hit OK. You can just squeeze them and we'll give it a color. You can go to layout, you can give him a color like this. You can right click, edit text. You can go and give this guy a white color or something like this. Make him as bold, make him as 12, hit OK. So You quickly create a dashboard. How about inserting an image? There's an option for image here. Drag and drop it. You can release it. He's going to give you image options, so you can go back and choose your images if you want. Right? Those images will be kept here. Right? So this is exactly how you can assemble a lot of your visualizations in the form of a dashboard. Now you can go back, drag and drop a container somewhere here if you want. Right? Exactly here. Now here you can drop a lot of visualizations if in case you want. Right? So probably this guy here, right? Probably another person. So this is how you collate all your visualizations, guys, in the form of a dashboard. Make it as full screen. Your dashboard is going to look something like this. So this is exactly how you can collate your sheets in the form of a dashboard. Once again, this requires plain drag and drop here. That's all. Make sure that you use the right containers. Make sure that you drop the sheets at the right containers. Just look at it. You would have been able to create a dashboard pretty easily, pretty quickly. Right? So similarly, we have spoken about dashboard actions. Now you can go back and add certain actions also if in case you want, right? So this is exactly how we create a dashboard here using Tableau. And the last one will be something called story. In a story, what you can do is you can drag and drop this guy. This is one visualization. You can keep some text here. You can see that, hey, I saw something happening here. Right? So it's a story that you're creating. Then similarly, you can create another extra one. Okay, here you can drag and drop this dashboard probably. And now you can say that, hey, this dashboard gives you a lot of information. You can hit OK. So now when you make it as full size, you get in the form of a story. So here you can choose something, then you can choose something, then you can go to something. So it's more like everything combined together. Sheets, dashboards, everything in the form of a story that you can stitch. So here you can say, we're talking about executive summary. So here you can go back and say, hey, this is detailed summary, something. Now just make it as full case. You can see executive summary. You can see a detailed summary here. So this is something called as a story. So these are the three entities. One is sheet, number two is dashboard, number three is something called story here. Okay. So any questions, guys, still here? I'm going to kind of call it a day. I know it's 10 minutes early, but there's something. So any questions still here, guys? Are you all convinced with all these topics that we've discussed till now? I would say that, we have completed almost 80% of it. There's small things here and there that you need to understand. Okay, so with that, I would say Tableau is complete. It's a very simple tool. Okay, it all requires just practice. Go back and try. You'll understand. You'll learn a lot of things. So what I would recommend is, guys, go back to Tableau Public. Okay, so you can basically search for Tableau Gallery. Okay. So this is a Tableau Gallery. So you can go and see the different visuals that people have created. I mean, these are all pretty complex ones. Okay, so this is all something done by experts. But you can look at many other visuals that people might have created. Then you can go back and try to replicate the same thing. Say, for an example, the same superstore, right? You can just search it. There's going to be a lot of people with a lot of workbooks here. So you can choose one of those, then you can try it. So this is something that somebody has tried. So they have created a workbook and they have pushed it in Tableau Public. So you can have a look at it. So what has he done? Do you think it's probably possible to do for us? So you can try the same thing, right? So I would say this is a good exercise, guys. You can try this. Now this guy is using a donut chart. That's in fact, a small intricate thing that you need to do. It's not so easy at doing. So he has created some donut charts here. There's a map here. There's a bar chart here. Right? He has created a story. Do you see it? Profits and orders, customer portfolio. He has created a beautiful story. He has stitched it. So you guys should probably try to do the same thing. So Tableau Gallery, it has a lot of examples, guys. So go have a look at it and try to do those same things. So that's how you kind of get a practice or a hold of this Tableau tool. Great. So any questions otherwise, guys? Shall we call it a day? Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, thanks, Yatendra. Thank you. Okay. So thank you, guys. Let's call it a day. Let's catch up tomorrow at the same time. Okay. Thank you, guys. Bye.